Hello students, Michael Sanchez here. We're going to be going over a piece in Wohlfahrt for students that have been playing between 2 and 4 years. So I think what I'm going to do is actually go over a couple pieces today on number 5 and number 6. Give you guys some tips on how to practice these pieces. So working on etudes is a very important part of every violinist's progress. I think there's way too many students out there that don't implement etude practice into the repertoire. I actually explained it in the last class. It's kind of like somebody that really wants to get strong, lifting weights, but they don't actually decide to lift the weights. They just kind of want to go to the performance and do the competition. But to be able to do the competition, you have to be able to work out and actually do exercises. So that's basically what we're doing. We're working on exercises to improve our skills on the violin. So Wohlfahrt is a really good book that has a lot of these exercises, and it's up to me to explain to you guys how to work on them. Because if you just look at number 5, it looks pretty basic, nothing really to it. But if we do things a certain way, there's quite a bit of technique work that we can do in these sort of pieces. All right, so this particular piece, number 5, is in the key of F major, which means we have a B flat in the key signature. So make sure that we're playing low 1 on A string. We're playing low 1 on E string. So low ones really take the student to have a good hand position. If you're reaching back for the low 1 improperly, if you're using too much of the hand to come back for the low 1 instead of actually just pinching the finger back, squeezing it back, you're going to have problems reaching other notes that come later because you're going to get yourself out of position. So it's really important, I'm actually going to grab my pen here, that you guys focus on keeping your hands still as you play the B flats. These are the B flats right here. So we have a low 1, but keep the hand still as you do those notes. Awesome. And then if you're finding yourself out of tune with a D, then you're probably not doing the finger angles properly. Okay, so there's a lot of notes in this piece, a lot of B flats, a lot of notes that are good combinations of notes. So I'm going to play it kind of at a moderate speed with no articulation, just single notes, so you guys can kind of warm up with playing it through. Here we go. Okay, so I just went through that, and hopefully now you guys have something to practice as far as the recording. You guys can play along at home. Again, I played that kind of at a moderate speed. I think there's a lot of spots where you guys could easily get out of tune as you jump around. So one place that kind of comes to mind, as you guys are right in this area, make sure that you're playing low 1 F natural. You've got B flat. Then you got to get high enough for that third finger and then you got to have the fourth finger touching. It's another B flat at the top. And then, yeah, we cross right back over to A string, then D string. Make sure that you're playing F natural. I think a lot of students might miss first fingers. They might be assuming that first finger on the D string is flat, but it's actually not. It's E natural based on the key signature. So if there's two flats in the key, then it would be low 1 on D as well. But because it's only one flat, make sure that you watch all the E naturals. Those should be normal ones. So I'm just kind of finding a few in here. What's nice is to understand how music works together. So, for example, these two notes, you got F natural and E natural, those are touching. So as you're coming down, if you play the F natural in tune, then you know that the 1 is going right next to it. So it's nice to know how fingers relate in the key that you're in. So I highly recommend just understanding music by doing scales. Playing through the F major scale would be extremely helpful. So yeah, actually I'll quick go through just one octave of that. That just kind of shows, you know, where notes are. So you guys can practice that to warm up. Do 2 octaves if you are able. That will go up into 5th position. Okay, so E naturals are really easy to miss in here. And then just make sure that you guys are keeping your hands still. One thing that you guys could do that's a really good practice is to actually have somebody that you know hold your hand from the fingers down this entire piece. And really it could be for any piece, because when you play the violin you only want to be moving your fingers. But if you guys are using your hand to find notes, then you're going to be inefficient, you're going to be out of tune. There's just another variable in the mix that's going to cause problems. So what you guys could do is actually have a friend or your wife hold your hand as hard as they want. I guess don't have them hurt you, but just hold it tight to where you can't move the hand, and then you should be able to find every single note in this piece by just squeezing fingers back and being in position to reach for 3s and 4s. If you're more on the angle of not being so parallel to the fingerboard with your fingers, then you're going to have trouble reaching the low 1s and then the 4s, so the extreme notes. Raise your hand if that makes sense, how it's important to keep your fingers moving and not your hand to find notes. So that's really important in a piece like this. So, and if you don't have somebody to actually hold it for you, try to just play the first, kind of memorize the first measure, and then just watch your hand. You shouldn't see anything move from your fingers down. And if you're able to do that, and if you're truly placing notes not with a lot of pressure, if you're lightly pressing on the fingerboard with each of these notes, you're going to be able to do vibrato. You're going to be able to play fast, efficiently, because when you place hard with notes, you're going to find that other fingers tend to pop up in the air, and that is inefficient as well. If you have to go farther distance to find a note, then you're not going to play as fast. So if you guys are more advanced and able to play fast, that's definitely the keys to playing fast, is having your hand in a good position, not raising your fingers too far off the fingerboard, and just placing your fingers in the very tips with not a lot of pressure. So to play like that, it's all about efficiency. So really work on how you guys are doing those 3 things. Okay, I probably shouldn't have done that, because now you guys are going to try to play it fast. What I mentioned in the last class is the importance of making sure that you guys are using the whole bow as much as possible, and doing different articulations is really good in etudes. So as you guys can see in this piece, the very top line, these are suggestions of bowings for this particular exercise. Some of them are harder than others, but if you're feeling like you're able to play all these notes pretty well in tune, like like I said, I wouldn't focus on speed maybe with this etude, but let's try doing the first suggested articulation, which is the one I'm going to box right now in this piece. So it's going to be 2 slurred together, 2 staccato, 2 slurred. What I would suggest is that the slur brings you to about 3/4 down of the bow. Then you do those 2 staccato notes at that point, and then the slur that follows brings us back to the frog. So let me explain it again. So we have 2 notes slurred, about 3/4 down the bow. Now these next 2 staccatos are going to be at that third point, at that third of the bow point. Now this slur that follows is going to bring me back to the frog, like that. Raise your hand if that makes sense. So we have a slur that brings us down to 3/4 point, then staccatos, then we come back to the frog. So this is what what it would sound like. All right, so to be able to do that with cleanliness, it really takes using the small muscles, and that's ultimately what we are trying to achieve in an etude. So if that's right around your level, that's an excellent etude to not force the staccato. I find students do this sort of sound because they're using too much force, too much arm to do the staccatos like this. Okay. So if you get that sound and you're not bending the wrist, you're not using the index to do the staccatos, you're probably grabbing the bow too tight. That's pretty common, but it's a tougher technique to do that as it's going that speed. But you still have to apply the same techniques of playing the violin to be able to achieve a clean staccato there. So as I'm doing this, my fingers are still curved. I'm bending my wrist, using my index. Everything that I've ever taught you guys still applies, but it's more challenging as you start to do these different articulations. Also, some of you guys might not be getting enough staccato, so you might be getting more. I don't want to say that's cheating, but that's not really a staccato. That's more portato, which is kind of a in-between staccato. That is actually something in music, but we definitely want it to be short and clean. If you guys are struggling to do that, you might want to maybe back up and maybe just do every note staccato. That might be a good way to start. So just do the piece like this. I'm using about, I would say, 3 inches of bow, 2 inches, 2 or 3 inches. And I'm focusing on getting the bow to be clean. So being very sensitive in how I'm applying the bow stroke. I'm using the small muscles, everything that I need to do to get a clean staccato. Okay, and I did notice that there is some tricky spots, I would say, from this point to the end. There's a lot of bow crossovers. So to be able to cross well on the violin, it takes having good elbow position in the right elbow. So basically when you're on the G string, you have to be above the instrument. when you're on the D, should be even with the instrument, A string below the instrument, E string at your side. So as I'm going through this section, I'm being very deliberate in how I'm changing. I'm not changing slow. My elbow is moving very quickly as I change strings. That makes it sound clean. If I'm kind of hanging out in the middle of those areas, your bow is going to kind of make a surface noise. It's not going to sound quite right. So as I'm doing this, starting at that point, quick change down my A string elbow, right on my side for E, back up a little bit, back to the side, back up even with the instrument, above the instrument quick, back, above, back down, above. Obviously I'm not stopping, but that's just the idea of it's better to actually stop when you're working on it, just to really get a very deliberate movement. A lot of students do that kind of slowly, and the way I explained it in the last class is kind of like when you're shifting gears, when you're driving a stick, you want to get through that gear change quick. You don't want to have an in-between with a gear change. You want it to happen as soon as you can. Same idea with your elbow. You want that elbow to raise or lower as quick as possible. Raise your hand if that makes sense. All right, most of you guys are with me. Excellent. I think. Okay. All right, well, at this time I'd like to just take any questions. There's about 10 students in the class right now, and there's lots of things that, you guys might be wondering about, so just go ahead and ask at this time. Also at this time I'd like to encourage anybody out there that's listening that's not in the live webinar to sign up, as the people that are here actually have the opportunity to ask questions, and we also do kind of a hangout afterwards on the site. Everybody goes and chats, gets to know each other. That's a great way to build community and ultimately inspire those that are trying to improve. We can all keep each other accountable. So I think a lot of people, they tend to, if they're learning violin by themselves, they can easily get discouraged or frustrated and then end up quitting because, they're all alone, or maybe they don't get an answer for their questions, things that they're struggling with. So that's kind of been the goal of the site, has been to offer all those things, the ability for people to meet others, stay accountable, stay motivated, have a way to, get expert opinions and answers to their questions. So hope you guys have been enjoying the site, and, I really just encourage you guys to get involved in the webinars. All right, let's see if we have any questions, if anybody in the class. All right, so I got one question here. A student's asking about the G string. So, okay. Yeah, on the G string there's a B flat. So basically that's low 2 on the G. Actually, when you're playing in the key of F major, all the second fingers should be low. And what I mean by low is that they should be touching your first finger. So if your finger is away from your one, that's not correct in the key of F. So as I play on the D, I got low 2, also on the G, low 2. So yeah, there's quite a few spots in here towards the end, actually. So here's a B flat, low 2. Here's a B flat, low 2. So yeah, make sure that you guys are watching those notes and doing it in a way to not change your hand position, just moving your fingers. Good question. Okay, yeah, David asks about positions. So yeah, I think you guys definitely could play this in a different position if you wish. Third position is good, so you would be able to start this, in third on the D. Kind of causes an awkward crossover there. But yeah, definitely you guys can do any different positions if you're more advanced or just want to practice third position. You can definitely do that with these etudes as well. So in that case, if you did this in third, you would start on the D string with a fourth finger. So I signify that by 3 Roman numerals. So yeah, that would be definitely good. You could even do it in fourth position. You could do it in second position. Fourth position actually would really make sense at the beginning. So playing that C as a 3. So we're now have a 3 in fourth, because that keeps us on the same string. So yeah, wherever you guys are at, consider also practicing etudes in different positions. Absolutely. All right, any other questions? Eric's asking about spiccato. So yeah, you can definitely work on this with different spiccatos as well. So in that case, this would sound, let's say I take the first one, the first articulation, instead of doing staccato, which is on the string, I decide to do off the string. In that case, it would be and in that case, I wouldn't go too far with the bow with the first slur, because it's not very efficient and really not ideal to do spiccato off the string more towards the middle of the bow. It's a lot easier to do spiccato accurately at the frog. So right now, as I play this, I'm starting right at the frog as far down as I can, right on my hand. I only go about, say, 2 inches, and then I'm right where I need to be for the spiccato. But if I went too far, it gets inaccurate. So yeah, that's definitely something you could do. If you're more at that level of doing spiccato, I would say you're probably maybe in a different book, though. You're probably in Mazza's. Because yeah, I would say this is a little bit easier for somebody that knows how to do spiccato. But everybody's at a different point. So, all right, any other questions? You're welcome, Eric. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. We're going to be doing this format. At least try it out for a couple weeks. If you guys like it, feel free to email me and just let me know your feedback. We're basically just going through different pieces, doing more screen share, and having me guide you guys through it, just like I would in a private lesson setting. So yeah, just let me know if you guys like the format or if you would like anything different. And yeah, please feel free to visit the site, check out the forums, check out our blog articles. We're working really hard just to make the site interesting and fun and fresh. We have a team of people that are all working on it. If you go to the About Us section on Violin Tutor Pro, you'll learn about our ownership and what our philosophies are and what we're trying to do. So we'd love for you guys to learn more about us. We're trying to really just influence as many people as possible, give them the ability to learn the violin anywhere in the world. Definitely, especially those people that don't have a violin teacher anywhere nearby. This is hopefully a great resource for them to be able to learn, and really for anybody. So yeah, I love your feedback. It's a newer site, and we're always trying to improve it and tweak things. So let me know. Awesome. Okay. Well, at this time, we're going to invite everybody that's in the class to pop on to Violin Tutor Pro and to chat, to get to know each other. There's about 11 people here. Monday, we had some really good discussions going with some of the people that were in the classes. We're all kind of getting to know each other. So that's definitely a great way to do that. So yeah, pop on to violintutorpro.com. And if you're listening to this after the fact, check out to the right of the video. You're going to see hopefully links to the music and resources to be able to do this lesson. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll hope to see you guys on the site.